Naam, hatimaye uongozi wa Kenya Power umejitokeza kuelezea kilichojiri baada ya maafisa wa kaunti ya jiji la Nairobi kufika afisini ya Kenya Power na kumwaga uchafu jana. Viongozi hao wameelezea NTV kuwa deni linalodaiwa kaunti ya Nairobi ni la zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 3, na usimamizi wa Kenya Power ulikutana mwaka jana na gavana wa jiji la Nairobi Johnson Sakaja na wakafikiana kwamba watalipa deni hilo kwa miezi kadhaa ili kulikamilisha. Hata hivyo kaunti ililipa nusu na maelewano hayo na wakawafikia kwamba umeme ila wanawarejeshea Ijumaa wiki jana baada ya kuzibiwa mitaro ya uchafu. Hebu tusikilize.
First of all, it is not versus. And I completely declined the invitation to make it an NCC versus KPLC. I completely declined that invitation. I think the way I looked at it, of course, on our part, like I did mention before, we had an issue of an outstanding debt. And in this issue of outstanding debts, when it was growing, where it had grown by 1.3 billion in the last 2 years, instead of it, because in the previous, eras, we would get an issue of them paying the current bill and paying something little for the previous. But here we are staring at a situation where they are not even paying the current bill. So that instead of the balance reducing, it was actually increasing. And I think we did issue out that it increased by 1.3 billion in the last 2 years alone. That is very substantial. And maybe for the sake of the public, the power that we sell is not ours. I think that is something many people have confused. We buy this power from generators. These are IPPs, this is Kengen, and we must pay them. And we collect all the money, not just for KPLC, but to pay for generation, to pay for transmission, to pay for distribution and retail. And when we are not paid, then it puts us in a very difficult position. If it was such that what we are actually selling is ours, then you can be very lenient. But in a situation where, for example, when you delay, there are penalties, we incur penalties, then of course we are at times forced, and it's allowed in the Act, for us to disconnect as a means of exerting some little pressure. The governor and his team, we had a meeting in my own boardroom, 7th floor of Steamer Plaza. That was last year. And the meeting came as a culmination of our concerns that we were not seeing any movement in terms of the payment of this debt. And during that meeting, we agreed. They actually agreed. We had wanted more because what had been carried forward was a very large bill. And we had wanted at least to see progress in terms of reducing that bill. And they committed in Steamer Plaza 7th floor that they are going to be paying 60 million at least on a monthly basis to reduce the debt of the one that had been carried forward, plus the current bill, which works to somewhere between 50 and 60 million per month. On the same month, we then expected a payment of 110 million. That is 60 for what was being carried forward, and actually they had not even paid November. So we expected 110 for November and 110 for December. They only paid us in December that 6 million. Come to January, we expected 110, they paid nothing. We write a letter, there is no response. Come to February again, there is no payment. So of course my commercial team, I was not even involved in the process. My commercial team, as they would usually do, exerted some pressure. When they didn't get any response, they disconnected. And when they disconnected, after, was it 1 or 2 days, they committed and said, no, we are processing the payment. Just on that promise alone, that was on Friday, that they are making arrangements to make some payment, they were reconnected.